Hello and welcome to Calling the Audible. This is Iggy Magnets, not Peas Delaries. I'm joined by...
Not Okan.
I can't hear you anymore, but that's fine.
Can you really not hear me?
No, but that's
I
fine.
Can hear him.
Lori Willette,
Yes.
hello.
Hello.
Can you hear her?
I cannot. No.
You can't hear me?
No. But I somehow lost connection while introducing the
yeah.
show. But that's fine.
I love how it's just you, though, because I'm always fine. I'm more surprised that she's
Yeah.
okay and you're
Yeah,
not.
I can hear the music. I hear everything but you guys.
I feel
Have
like it's
you-
a weekly.
Yeah, it's...
A weekly thing.
Have you tried boosting your A?
No.
You should try boosting your A. Do you hear me
Hello?
now?
No.
No.
I don't,
Alright.
but that's fine. Lori, welcome
Yes.
to the show.
Thank you. Second show.
Welcome back, yeah.
Yes.
We're also joined, of course, by Eagle at Master Control.
Hello.
There it is. What?
And I didn't remember that, but it's fine.
Yeah. So, guys, we had an interesting week. Of course.
I mean, not really, though. There's like 4 games.
Yeah, but there was the rules committee, something that
Yes.
is kind of behind the scenes of all of FPF that two of us were present at. We'll go through some of the things that were updated in some detail, not great detail for all that. All the specifications. We'll probably have an article coming out with what's new, what's different.
Yeah, we're going to be doing an article that's going to highlight all the changes that are there. Obviously, we're waiting on the final updates to the rulebook so we can publish those on our site. And we're hoping to bring in someone on the referee team, probably either like Jason Leclerc, Leo Gervais, etc., that can actually come in and talk us through the whole process, talk us through some of the changes that are being made, and just general procedure updates that are happening with the referees too. Besides the fact that obviously we're changing the rules, we also look at the way the rules are enforced or the way the referees position themselves, what we call the mechanics.
The clinic, no?
Yeah, and there's a whole process to that and everything. So we can also kind of give players an update in terms of what we're doing behind the scenes to make sure that the refereeing experience is always improving.
Yeah. So one of the major topics that we've implemented this year in the fall, and a lot of people have been asking, hey, are we going to keep that onside kick? Is it staying? Is it going? Is it going to be modified in some way? And the answer, of course, is that we are keeping it. But big modifications in terms of the way it's used. So we described in one of the earlier podcasts here on Calling the Audible, the intent, the purpose of the onside kick. It's really meant to come back into a game that you're down by 9 or more points and trying to catch up with like about 5 minutes less. The way the rules been, or at least the rules around the onside kick with the Fall Cup, teams have been using it in the first half. Teams have been using it so that teams don't finish the half with one play left because it consumes the play. So it's not exactly what we, or at least while it's an interesting way of managing the game, it's putting a nice little twist to it.
There's almost no risk to doing it, right? You want to do it
Yeah.
almost right away just to get it done with and then move on with the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like anytime there's a penalty on an extra point, I'm immediately applying it on the onside kick because I'm going for it at that point because I just made it 5 yards easier to get an extra possession. And essentially what we're giving up today is 15 yards. But enough about what's going on today. Let's look at some of the modifications for the winter. So, first of all, it's now an extra point option. So after your TD, you either go for 1, you go for 2, or you go for the onside kick. Then to even have the option to use it, you need a timeout. So it's more, you have to be careful with your timeouts now. You can't just, burn your 2 timeouts during the game. And if you did, well, too bad you can't use the onside kick anymore.
And you can still only do it once per game.
Yeah, still only use it once per game. Not only do you need a timeout, it burns one of your timeouts.
Because we're going to set the bags up and everything. It takes time off the clock. So this is a way to make sure that the game doesn't get out of hand from a timing perspective.
Yes, exactly. Because right now with extra points taking 30 to 45 seconds, onside kick, 10 seconds to maybe remember about the onside kick, call for it, refs moving the cones back, setting up the play, takes about like 2 minutes from after your touchdown that are down the drain, so to speak. So extra point option, need a timeout to use it, burns the timeout. So like Eagle alluded to, it stops the clock, of course. It now does not count as a play in the final 5 plays. So you can't use it, oh, there's 1 play left in the game, I just scored a touchdown, to prevent the other team from even having a chance at coming back. I'm just going to use the onside kick, throw it to the ground, and that's it, game over. No chance of even having it getting intercepted, or never even letting the other team get a chance to come back into the game. So it doesn't count as a play. And very important is that if you miss the onside kick, the other team starts at your own 5-yard line. So they don't start at midfield. It's essentially at point ball dead. So even if the team catches it and runs up 10 yards from your 5, so it's not converted, you're at the 15, the other team gets the ball at the 15. If there's a bomb that goes all the way into the end zone and you intercept it as the defending team and take it out to the 5, well, now you start your drive at your own 5. So in that case, it's better to just bat the ball away because you're going to be starting at the opponent's 5-yard line instead. So all these rules, all these wrinkles around it really force a team to use it at the very end of a game, but also be very careful with your timeouts. So we find it balances an element of strategy, but also using it only really at the end of the game instead of end of a first half and whatnot.
So if it uses 1 timeout
Yeah.
for the onside kick,
Yeah.
that means you only have 1 timeout left in the game.
Yes. We're experiencing just a small. Yes.
Every week I tell you to not park in that spot, and every week you continue to park in that spot.
But you said left or right, so I was
On that side!
as
The
I
two
was saying-
spots on the side!
No,
not the-
but that guy took up both spots. There was no parking.
and you
on
can't
the
park
street.
there! Okay, it's fine.
I didn't. Yeah. So yes, you were asking Laurie about the onside kick.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it burns 1 timeout.
It does
So
burn.
that means you have only 1 other timeout in the game.
Yes.
Since there's only 2 timeouts.
if you had both, if you still had both,
yeah,
and you go for the onside kick,
yeah, it burns 1.
it burns 1, so you still have 1. If you
Okay.
only have 1 of the 2, you can still call the onside kick, but now you're left with 0.
Okay, and if you burn the 2 of them, you can't have an
You're
onside
screwed.
kick.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have
Okay.
the option to go for the
That
onside.
makes
Which,
sense.
by the way, takes away the strategy of trying to use your timeouts to the first half and
True.
everything to
Yeah.
try and get extra plays in type of situation. Well, now you don't have the onside option available to you later on in the game.
Well, yeah, you can still do the Division 1 thing of taking your timeouts at the end of the first half.
But that's it. Now there's more of a game management aspect,
Yes.
right? Like we've always talked about, the better teams know how to control the clock, and that was one way to do it. Well, now there's another angle to it of, well, if you want to get those plays in to get the extra score, well, potentially later on in the game when you're down and you need that extra score, that option isn't available to you, vice versa. Maybe there is enough plays for you to score without it, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of new strategy elements that
Yeah.
go into it, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. This one's interesting, and I don't know what the right adjective is, but maybe a lot of players are going to be relieved about this one. But pockets and jewelry. Shorts with pockets, jewelry. So it's no longer 10 plays off. It's no longer a 10-yard penalty. Instead, it's a 5-yard penalty.
Also, the infringing player needs to remove themselves from the field to remedy the situation before they are able to return. The play clock is still running, though. So if the referee sees you have shorts with pockets, they'll throw the flag. They'll apply the penalty, as we're going to discuss in just a second.
Yeah.
You have to get off the field. If you can change your shorts or take off your chain or whatever it is and get back on the field before the play clock expires on the next play, then great. If not, then you miss that play, right?
Yeah.
Either you're 5 on that play, someone else has to come in to sub for you, etc. That's part of it now, essentially. So you can get back on once you fix whatever's going on, but then that's it.
Yeah.
You're out for that play, maybe.
But then, most importantly, that 5-yard penalty does not get enforced on the subsequent play. It gets enforced on the subsequent drive. So that ability of, oh, I saw he has a chain. I'm going to hold on to that information when it's third or fourth down. And I'm going to go to the ref when it's third or fourth down and tell them, hey, that player, number 8, is wearing a chain. So, okay, I have to call
Throw
the
him
penalty.
off the field type of thing, right? Get
You
their
know.
best player off or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Or in some teams' case, get the snapper off the field.
Or quarterback or whatever the situation scenario is. It no longer affects the very next play, but it affects the very next drive.
Okay.
So that's an interesting one.
And basically the logic behind this was players were kind of holding on to the knowledge of a penalty for the opportune situation where ultimately this is a safety situation, right? We want to ensure that players are not essentially gambling their safety, albeit, rare as it is, but essentially that, right? You're saying, well, I'm willing to potentially get hurt to have the advantage of applying this when I choose. So instead, we're saying, well, the drive that your team is on right now, like the opposing team, it's not affected now. It's going to affect the next one in time. So you're always it's always in your advantage to call it immediately because it won't apply now. It'll apply to the next drive.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Thoughts?
makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This one's interesting too. The big cones on the sideline are here to stay.
What
We're
big
not going to
ones?
go back to the beanbags. This has been confirmed as a thing that as much as players liked the beanbags, it does slow down the game. Now, there have been some concerns that, well, maybe some hustle and the rigor of some of the referees is a little bit slow. That goes back to mechanics, so we're working on that. For the most part, it's pretty good, though. Let's be real.
It's fine. Yeah.
There's a little bit of confusion at one point because there were small cones being used. We're trying to remedy that as well by offering more big cones for moving the bags and making sure they're always visible. There's been a few things about colors of them to make sure they're standardized. We're also looking at potentially using larger markers in general on the sidelines, more like, I'm going to call it NFL style, but like pylon style type of things where you can see where they are. So there's a few things we're exploring, but ultimately we decided if we can keep the cones on the sidelines, it does speed up the ability to place the down bags. It does make it a little bit of less, I guess, things to trip on in the middle of the field. We got to work a little bit more in terms of placing the center of the field on some of the locations we ran. But those are all things that we're gonna build process and techniques for, and not actually have to revert back to the whole bean bags and shuffle them around and the whole thing. So yep.
Any other major changes? Those were the big ones. That I
Little
remember.
things. I think we talked about it already this season. We kind of did like an emergency rule change, but it's permanent now. For co-ed, it's not a minimum of 2 women. It's a maximum of 4 men is the way we've changed the ruling on that. So you can play as 5 with 1 woman if you want. Few things in junior we're changing, not applicable to here.
No, you can't play with 5 guys and 1 woman.
4-1. That's what I said.
Yes. Oh, 4-1. Sorry. Yeah. That's because I can't hear you.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And I think those are the big ones. There's a few little like minor changes in terms of the way certain things are applied, but more technicalities more than anything else. Like there was one thing for like having to check your flag belt after every touchdown, which kind of seems useless now because
it's not
you
a
can't
belt
tie
anymore.
it, right? Like unless there's like a real reason for it. So we're changing like the tamper stuff. Anyway, a few little things here and there, but those are the big ones essentially. Onside kick here to stay. Pockets and Julie being different. Big cones are here, and probably one I'm forgetting about. But again, nothing. We were there for like 5 hours, man. Like it's a long night.
Oh yeah, that was long. You posted a few videos. When we left at midnight. Yeah.
We started at 7. That's why it was literally 5 hours.
Yeah. So that was long. All right. I'll do the Mo thing. The Mo thing is it's that time of the year. We're in week 7, I think, of the schedule. I think we're aligned with, or are we in week 6? I don't know.
Yes.
The schedule has
6.
The schedule has gone a little whack with in terms of the start date, end dates, but this is episode 7 of Calling the Audible, so should be week 7, but I think we've regressed 1 week now, week 6. I don't know. We were on par with the NFL. Now maybe we're a week back. But all to say that this is the time of the year where you should probably look at the players who have 1 or 2 games played and look at the number of remaining games that you have on your schedule and make sure that they show up to those games because otherwise they won't be playoff eligible. Again, the magic number is half the season. Season's 8 games. Playoff eligibility is 4.
Yep. Nothing else to say. That's it.
All right, let's get the show started here with something that we've been doing now more and more every week, as we've been doing in the Fall Cup, is the team of the week. So Laurie, first thing,
Yes.
what stands out to you? Which stat line here is the most impressive for you?
For me would be
What are you going with? You going with the QB, no picks, 6 touchdowns. You're going with the receiver with 4 touchdowns in either Max Bura or Laurence Pontbriand. You're going with the 3 INTs from Will, or are you going with the 2 INT, one of them being a pick 6 from Fitzgerald Senatus from
yeah. I'll go with the last defense.
Yeah?
It's pretty impressive.
You like the
they're all impressive.
Yeah.
But the one that stands out to me the most is the last one.
The pick 6 or
No, all the
yes, I know. Yeah, but because of the pick 6 or
yes,
or
the
just
pick
stats
six,
across the board,
just,
or?
stats across the board. He has everything.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm an offensive kind of guy. I like both receivers actually. I like how Laurence Pontbriand is becoming one of the leaders in the women's
Yes.
division, as we'll get to in a little bit, for Les Brutes. And Max Bura, of course, coming in as a sub. Or maybe as a full-timer. We never know with Friends Without Danny. They're always needing guys. Of course, he steps into Tier 2, Friends Without Danny, and doesn't skip a beat at all. Gets over 130 yards, 4 touchdowns on 7 receptions. That's pretty impressive. So
It is.
I like that. Eagle, anything for you?
I like this graphic. I'd like to have more of these graphics, just because it's hard to go through every single team in every single division
Yeah.
and say, like, oh, this quarterback was better than that quarterback in a week. Like, we know if we go into Tier 1 on any given Sunday,
7.
someone's putting up 250 yards and 6 TDs, and
Minimum,
we don't consider that as impressive as Mitch Fergenbaum doing it in Tier 3 type of situation, right? So, very different way of looking at the comparing across the different tiers.
Yeah.
That being said, this does have kind of a nice distribution, which is kind of cool. So I like that.
Yeah.
But more of these is kind of my ask.
Are we usually we go through, maybe this is an off the air question and behind the scenes kind of thing, but are we switching it up, the lime green ESPN 80s theme for FPF, or it's stay tuned?
Not for 22, but 23 TBD.
Uh-huh.
Usually we
Like
change color
determined.
scheme every year. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like this one. What
I
did
like-
you?
I like
What,
it
what,
too.
yeah, what were your thoughts on the like overall the
background and the graphic.
yeah, like the theme we went with
I
for this year?
like it. I like it more dark compared to the like flashy lime green.
You don't?
No.
Yeah.
But no,
Okay.
it's a style.
Yeah.
But I prefer because it stands out more.
Okay.
Like the writing and everything.
what do you like better, the lime green or that green?
The lime green.
there you go. Okay.
Which, by the way, thanks for ruining our backgrounds with your green camo.
Both of us.
I'm
Yeah.
it wasn't planned.
Both of us wearing green. Yeah, we forgot. All right, we're gonna start with the women's division. Lottie, we had
Yes.
a battle of the top tier in women's tier.
Yeah.
We had Brut versus Vortex, round number 2.
Yes.
And in the first matchup, of course, Vortex came away with the victory.
Yep.
And this time around, we had Brut coming away with a 33-13 victory.
Yes.
Tell me, what were your thoughts on this game? Were you were there, if I'm not mistaken?
I wasn't there.
You were not there.
No, I wasn't
okay.
there. But
We do
saw
have footage, though.
Yes.
Yeah. From
Yeah. Of course, as it was presented on Game of the Week by
Yes.
Chris Rive, so he was able to get the heart, the essence, the pulse of that game. What were your thoughts in general?
No, I was surprised because both of the teams they're similar in certain ways.
Yeah.
So the fact that Vortex won one and then Brut won the other,
Yeah.
it's like a 1v1 right now. So I don't know what to expect in the finals or whatever throughout later on.
Yeah.
But no, I was very impressed by how they managed to pull it off.
Well, speaking of, because it would be a playoff matchup the next time if they
Yes.
do meet in round number 3. And of course, it looks like the two, they're on a collision course to meet in the final.
Yes.
Given that Les Brutes won this game,
Yes.
does that give them a psychological advantage going into the playoff game? Is Vortex, Vortex has been scoring at will. They've been scoring 30, 40, 50 points.
Yes.
And for them to only put up 13 in this one, does that lower their confidence? Who's more confident going into a potential playoff game?
I honestly, I don't think they're less confident. The Vortex teams,
Yeah.
Because I've seen them play, I've seen them like how they talk amongst themselves and everything.
Yeah.
I think they're just as confident as they were before, even if they lost against Brut.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're as confident and they're gonna go into playoffs and finals with their heads up. So, but it does give Les Brut maybe a confidence boost because they
Yeah.
did lose to them in the first round.
Right.
But yeah, that would be my opinion.
Yeah, and looking through the highlights, and I of course saw this earlier, and just seeing it again, there were some impressive catches here.
Absolutely.
Of course, sometimes the receivers, they were like outstretching, trying to make really nice grabs that ended up getting dropped.
Yeah.
So maybe cleaning up some of those drops.
Oh, for sure.
Brings Vortex back into a playoff game.
Yes.
But yeah, look, it was a close game at halftime. If I'm not mistaken, it was a 14-13 lead for Les Brutes that eventually Vortex just couldn't score.
Yeah.
And as we see there, Maud Lacasse really likes that deep ball, especially to Laurence Pontbriand.
Always.
That's something that Vortex is going to really need to defend the next time these two play.
They need to adjust to it, or else if she's always open, Maud Lacasse is always gonna throw to her.
Yeah, she's a big target, and my thing with Laurence Pontbriand, she can run any route and get open on it.
Yes.
It could be a 10-yard hook, the sideline go, a post cutting into the middle, a 7-yard in. She's just a matchup nightmare for the entire division.
She knows how to read her defense.
Yes.
The person that's in front of her, and she knows how to either outrun her or just get open in general.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
why most of the time she's open.
Yeah, so I think Vortex will have to really key on Laurence Pontbriand
Yes.
as the main focus for their defensive side.
100%.
So speaking of Laurence Pontbriand, there's actually, if we look at the standings or the team stats, of the women's division, and we look at the receivers, we'll notice that the top 4 receivers actually belong to both Les Brutes and Vortex here.
Yeah.
So
I mean, is that really a surprise though?
it's not.
Not really.
So, but what's interesting is that the 1 and 4 are from Brut, whereas the 2 and the 3 are from Vortex. So, easy question here is which wide receiver duo, Lodi, would you rather have on your team in a playoff game leading your offense? Would you rather have the Laurence Pontbriand and Rebecca, it's small here. I should have put it on my screen. But Descartes Corbeil of Brut, thank you. Or Catherine Girard and Aubu Ménard of Vortex. Which duo would you go with in a playoff game?
I would prefer the Brut, the Pontbriand Chevrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? So we spoke about Laurence, of course.
Yes.
What about Chevrier? Do you particularly like as a second option on the receiver?
No,
set?
she's really good. She as the same thing as Laurence Pontbriand. She knows how to get open. She knows how to do her routes, read the defense well. So it isn't. I like that duo. That would be my option.
But and one of the things too that both receivers do really well is they box out their receivers
exactly
very well. So quick outs, especially for the extra point conversions.
Yeah, they're fast.
I find that exactly that those two are the 1 and 2 option for Maud Lacasse. I would actually go with the 2 of Vortex, Virginie Aubu-Ménard and Catherine Girard. I find their speed, the way they attack downfield, is a matchup problem against most teams.
Yeah.
They couldn't necessarily put it on full display against Les Brutes. I think one of the ways their offense moves is that they need to just drive a bit of the field. So some of those drops that we saw, if they actually convert and move up the field 7 to 10 yards at a time, that opens up that speed and that deep ball for Vortex and for defenses needing to respect that. So once you start getting in defenses' head of, well, we don't know if they're going short, we don't know if they're going deep, that makes the Vortex offense dangerous, and it's led by those two.
I agree with that. Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Now let's move more to the defensive side of the ball. So we'll stick here in the stats. But of the 4 INT leaders, we've got actually 2 of them coming from Red Nation, but Stephanie Baudry Zanotti of Brut now leading the division with 9.
Yeah.
Of course, we're all familiar now with the name Rachel Vallière of
Yes.
Red Nation. But there's Catherine Girard, and we just spoke about offensively, but defensively leading the way with tackles at 19 and with the 5 INTs. And we have, of course, Geraldine Cabillo Abante Gigi of Red Nation with 4 interceptions. So of those 4, even 5. Virginie Bumenan, again, the duo of receivers also find themselves in the top 5 INTs. Which 2 are you picking to cover the deep ball in your defense?
Quick question before I answer that.
Yeah.
The woman that we were talking about a few weeks ago that had most of the interceptions in one game, is it the first?
I don't know if that was about Rachel Vallière.
No, I know it's not Rachel Vallière.
It wasn't.
But because is it the first? Is it Stephanie?
It might
have
be.
most of the interceptions in one game against one team.
It might be. So I'm looking up in her stats now.
Oh,
She had 5 interceptions
So,
against Louvre du Nord.
so with that information,
Yes.
I go with Rachel Vallière and Catherine Girard
Okay.
because, just in general, Rachel Vallière, she's right place, right time. I saw one of her highlights, a one-hand
Yeah.
catch,
Backwards.
with the interception.
Bobbled it maybe a little bit,
Yeah.
as she was going
But
back
she got
upfield.
it. She got it.
But she got it,
It
yeah.
was amazing. So yes, I would go with Rachel Vallière and Catherine Girard. Right time, right place. They know how to catch it. Because most of the defensive players, either women or men or co-ed, whatever, they have the mentality when they're on defense to bat it down.
Yeah.
But them, every time the ball comes towards them, they try to catch it. And I've played against Rachel Vallière. She was on me last season.
Yeah.
And she tried to catch it. She tried to catch it every single time. So yes, that would be my duo, my top 2.
Yeah, I'll go with I'll go with number 1, Rachel Vallière. I find it's whether it's deep or short. Of course, we've spoken about it. I particularly like the way she defends the short zones.
Yes.
She really rips in and jumps routes and undercuts routes. I don't know if I said it here on Calling the Audible, but the one, it wasn't even a FPF regular season game or playoff game.
Yeah.
It was the All-Star game.
Oh yes, I heard about that.
I've never so I find it extremely hard to pick off Stephen Haraprasad.
And she did it.
And she completely undercut a slant coming in and picked him off and returned it to the house for a pick 6.
A pick 6.
I was just astonished. I'm like, okay, I knew she was good. I saw her play in the finals. I saw a couple of her games. I knew she was good. But
to see it in person,
see it person live, like in coverage, seeing the way she defended it and read it and just he was shocked. Steve was shocked. He couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Like I'm like, oh, she's that good.
And she got the speed also, so she ran it back.
She's
to the end
dangerous.
zone.
Yeah. So I'm going with Rachel Vallière, and then I'll go with her teammate Gigi, just because they know the way they have chemistry playing together on defense.
I agree.
So if I'm choosing two players that I want, communicating well on my defensive end, playing the deep ball, and whether it's deep or short, they just know where they're going to be more or less.
Yeah.
I'm going with those 2 options.
No, for sure. Having a duo that has chemistry together, for sure, it's the best option that you could get.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to co-ed, Lori.
Yes.
Lori, you're familiar with Easy Fun. They're
Yes.
some of your go-to friends there.
Yes, I played with them last season.
You did play with them last season. They're still undefeated.
I know.
Of course, Fast Not Furious still undefeated as well. They've got 0 losses on their
They
record.
got 1 tie though. That's the only difference.
They do have a tie, but they can still say they're undefeated.
Yes,
they haven't lost the game.
Indeed.
Now these 2 teams do play each other in each other's final game of the season.
Okay.
So it looks like they're on a collision course to have. That's where we're going to decide the last team with 0 losses. We're going to find out who that is. But if the teams were to meet today, who are you going with and why?
It's really hard for me to choose because there's some pros and cons of both teams.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Yeah, so let's just start with Fast Not Furious. I've talked about it on my article, the girls on defense for Fast Not Furious.
Yep.
When they defend, they're in the zone. They drop back more than they're supposed to.
Right.
Like I've talked to the team and they've said that also. Like the girls are dropping back more than they should in zone, and that gives their offensive opponents to catch the short balls and just
quite
run
easily.
up. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, however, their offense, they have Marvin, the QB,
Miles Gibbon.
Yeah, he throws bullets. He knows where his receivers are going to be. So, offensively, they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, that would be like maybe their struggle. Easy Fun. I mean, both offensively and defensively, they're good. I haven't actually seen them play, but I know they have a couple more, different players this season.
Yeah.
Talking about the girls, and their QB is different.
Yeah, it's Nico Blais.
Yeah, Nico Blais.
Taking the reins.
Exactly.
How do you feel about that? How do you like that taking Jeremy White away from the quarterback position but putting him into a wide receiver position, which is also dangerous?
It is very dangerous. No, I like it. I've seen how Nico plays, and he's very confident. He knows how to throw the ball. He knows how to read it. So I'm not worried about it. And Jeremy White being on offense is amazing also.
At receiver.
Receiver. He knows how to get open. He catches the ball. So,
And then, once you get the ball in his hands, he's one of the most slippery players. I try to emulate his dip move, so it doesn't come looking out as pretty. It doesn't work as often. Yes?
Just by looking at this picture, I can tell this team lacks chemistry. You notice all the men are in on the symbol for the team and the women are not?
No, that's not true. The girl in the middle.
Oh, there's only one. You're right.
Girl in the middle's on point.
But everyone else got to step up your game.
But that's the thing. The girl in the middle, she was there last season.
She was there last season.
The two others weren't.
Yes. Celia Lamar, I believe, is one who played with strangers, I believe. Am I wrong on that?
Not with me last season.
Yes.
Maybe
I'm sorry.
winter.
It was the winter season.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So who are you giving the edge to if they were to play today? From your quick analysis, sounds like you favor Easy Fun.
I was about to say that, yeah, Easy Fun. Just because Fast Not Furious's defense is maybe struggling a bit more than Easy Fun. So I would go with Easy Fun.
You don't think that Marilou Cote-Noel could do some damage as a rusher and stopping
for sure
some of that Easy Fun offense?
Yes, she could. Well, she's going to rush Nico Blais.
Yeah.
For sure she's going to put pressure on Nico.
Right.
I don't know how he works under pressure.
Right.
But I'm sure he could figure it out. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That because it's not Jeremy White.
No, it isn't.
Put any rusher against Jeremy White and it doesn't really
bother him.
Yeah,
no,
he can.
He's
either gonna release it.
Yeah,
he's either gonna release it immediately, whether it's downfield or short, or he can just shake any rusher.
Exactly.
Whether it's Isaiah Allard or Marilou.
It's gonna give him more time to throw. So.
Yeah. It could cause problems, but you still have faith in
Easy Fun,
in Nico Blais and Easy Fun.
Yeah. What about you?
It is. It's a very close matchup. There's
It
a
is.
reason. There's a reason why these two teams haven't suffered a loss yet.
Yeah.
I might have to go with Fast Not Furious. So like you said, the team is communicating to their players on defense that you're backing up a little too much. If you want to start at 5 yards and then take a step up, go ahead and do that. So I do want to see them play a couple more times. I want to see if they're putting that communication and that transfer of information to use and to actual applying it on the field. But I just find that the Fast and Furious offense is quick strike. It's a little more dynamic than what Easy Fun's is without Jeremy White at the quarterback position.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think the way they would have to win a game would be a 43-40 type of game.
So like a close game.
A close game, but
Yeah.
what I mean is like an offensive showdown.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
We'll see in the last.
Yeah,
last
but
week.
yeah, exactly. It's gonna be a heavyweight title
Yeah.
that all of co-ed's gonna have their eyes on.
Oh, for sure.
So again, let's move on to bench warmers and Les Petits Fuck. These two teams are playing this week. And my question for you, Lori, Gab Wiseman of the bench warmers, this quarterback,
Yes.
can he put up enough points? As we know that Les Petits Fuck are on off when Dom Lefort is there. Of course, he wasn't there last week. They only put up, I believe, 6 points.
Yeah.
But when Dom Lefort is there, they're one of the more dangerous teams to put up 35, 40 points.
Yeah.
So my question to you, can Gab Wiseman put up enough points to compete with Les Petits Fuck's offense? And second, can the benchwarmers defense stop that Dom Lefort offense, limit them to, let's say, 24 points?
Can I just ask before Lori answers the question,
Yeah.
where does this narrative come from? Because I'm looking at these games here. Wiseman's putting up fairly good numbers. I mean, the first two games, okay, fine. I always go with the whole, like, a couple weeks, you're getting used to your team, the chemistry, etc.
Yeah.
Week 3, 4, 5, he's putting up, 30-something points every game, and the defense is holding the teams to very few points here. So
Yeah.
is this just you're expecting Wiseman and the defense to have a bad game on both ends of the ball against LPP? Like, what's the context there?
No, the narrative is that Dom Lefort's offense usually puts up 35 plus. So, sure, they put up 27, but it's against Iced Out. That's a team that they should run up the score and put as many points up on the board as possible. So if you're only putting up 27 against Iced Out, I'm wondering if that's enough against Les Petits Fuck, who, if you see, 34 points, 45 points, sure, 21 against Y&Y. It's a bit of an anomaly, but otherwise 34 and
Yeah,
against
6 against Fit Squad, but without Dom Lefort.
but without Dom Lefort. So that's the narrative, is that you can see that they're averaging 35 points, right? Whereas benchwarmers aren't. They're averaging 27, 26. So can Gab Wiseman put up 35 points, 40 points to be competitive in that game against Petit Fuck?
Yes. Yes. Sorry. So, what I think.
Yeah.
Because I actually talked to one of the players.
Benchwarmers?
No, Les Petits Fuck.
Yeah.
Alexis Ferrand.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I straight up asked him, what's happening this season? And he told me defensively it's not going as well as they thought. So I think against benchwarmers, even though they've put up a lot of points against not a lot of points against Iced Out, you said.
Right. Yeah.
So I believe it's gonna be an offensive game.
Yeah.
Since Les Petits Fuck they're struggling defensively.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think benchwarmers are able to put up the points.
Okay.
Enough to win, I don't know. It
Right.
could be a close game, but I'm not sure. And can the defense stop Dom Lefort's offense?
That to me is the more. So I think Gab Wiseman can put up the points.
Yes.
He's put up a nice team together
Yeah.
in co-ed in terms of even both on the women's side and the men's side. I like their defense too, though. Nick Gomez Rizzo playing the safety in co-ed is very dangerous.
Yes. very.
Do they have the speed, though, to contain Dom Lefort is my question.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. They're more of the bigger body,
Yes.
big, tall guys. And if Gomez, or Nick is playing at the safety position, yeah, sometimes on some plays he'll crash down.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he's making sure that they're not getting beat over the top,
Exactly.
which Dom Lefort is able to do, of
Yes.
course. Especially to Alexis Ferrand, he's one of his deep threats.
Exactly. Yes. But Dom's speed is incredible. So I
Yeah.
don't think speed-wise, no.
Yeah, I think that's so I too think this is going to be a rather high offensive
Yeah.
scoring game. But I think Lipsfuck come on top. I'm going to go with like a 40-35 kind of game, maybe even 40-34.
But I have a question. Do you believe that? But Benchwarmers are currently up in the standings, and Lipsfuck are more lower in the
Sure.
standings. So you still believe Lipsfuck is gonna come on top?
Yeah,
It's gonna beat
they've
Benchwarmers?
they've played some of the better competition. They've
Yeah.
played against Fast and Not Furious.
Yeah,
They played against Y&Y, who's the top of the division.
true. True.
They've played the Villains, who are also, I believe, 4-1 or maybe even 5-1. They may have had a bye,
Yeah.
so they might still be at 4-1. Whereas Benchwarmers have had a bit of an easier schedule.
Yeah.
So I mean, week 1's a bit of a wash for both teams. They
Yeah.
play Kiss My End Zone. To be fair, they did play Free Smoke. But their last 3 games have been against bottom dwellers of the division. They've played Badgers, Lesect, and Iced Out.
Okay.
So they've played, at least recently, some lower competition.
Exactly. Okay, perfect.
So speaking of Badgers, one of those teams that we mentioned, Mo was high on Badgers.
He knows them.
Well,
he
so
said
this
that
is
from-
this is like a spin-off team from a bunch of people that were with Chris Rive's Stoics last year, right?
Oh,
You have
okay.
Fizad Garcia Diaz and
Omar Chavez.
Omar Chavez,
Two,
exactly. So
yeah.
they basically said, we're going to make our own team
Yeah.
with Badgers.
And we'll try, I'll try throwing, Mo was high on them, though.
Yes.
I feel like I was watching that episode, and he was talking about the Badgers, and particularly, like, the game that week that he saw was against Fit Squad.
Yeah.
And every time he was saying, like, I'm high on the Badgers, I'm like, are you sure he's not thinking about actually the other team and talking about Fit Squad and how impressed he is with Fit Squad?
Yeah.
But I don't know. He stuck with his narrative, so maybe he was referring to the Badgers. Mo, Mo. I called you Mo. You're not Mo. Lori,
No.
what's your take on the Badgers?
On the Badgers, well, from the games that we see on
On their schedule, yeah.
on their schedule, they've played against more of the higher end team.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I mean, yeah. Lips fuck, easy fun.
Yeah.
Fit Squad.
And the
the-
only game they won was against Iced Out, which is one of the lower standings.
Right.
So I mentioned it before. If there were 2 co-eds, and they would be like in the second co-ed, obviously,
Yeah.
as we can see, I'm sure they would be one of the top tier teams. But right now, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, they're-
maybe they win against Free Smoke. Maybe they win
No. You
against
think
La
so?
Sect.
Last
Yeah.
yes.
Against
Free
the Sec,
Smoke,
that's so. Yeah. So against Free Smoke, I'm
No.
not sure
don't-
they can match up
I
athletically.
don't think so.
And
So
then
like 1 and 2, if they're
Yeah.
really lucky, 2 and 1 type of situation, but likely 1 and 2, and they finish the
Yeah.
season 2 and 6, right? But they also like drew the worst possible
Yeah,
straws when it
that's
comes
tough.
to the other those games they
Exactly.
lost to, like.
Yeah, no. They definitely are playing the higher end competition. And yeah, I like what you're saying. Like, if it was split into 2, which maybe co-ed should have been this year.
Season.
But the thing is, fall's usually not as big in numbers
Yeah.
for co-ed. So we didn't know that
We're
coming
not
in.
used to it.
Yeah, yes.
You know what's an observation I noticed from this one over here for Cesar Garcia Diaz as
Yeah.
quarterback? 10 TDs to 7 INTs is not what I would anticipate from a starting quarterback.
He's
and I
not-
mean that because, well, let me finish my thought
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I mean that because normally you'll see very few touchdowns and a significant number of interceptions. And so,
Oh,
right? Like
that's what you mean by starting quarterback, like new quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I thought you meant like
you're in
by
the
a
position-
starter.
Either you're
Okay.
seeing a significant number of sacks because they don't understand the timing and the pressure that's actually being in the pocket, or they feel the pressure and they throw to where they think they have windows and are not actually there and everything. So I can understand the low touchdowns potentially in terms of getting it like there, but I'm a little bit surprised in the lower interception numbers, which leads me from a number narrative to say maybe he's being a little bit too conservative with the ball. Maybe you need to start looking for the higher risk plays to try and build on your offense rather than just, and even like checking it down. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's really working if that's the situation. So I don't know. I don't really know how to read this.
No, well, I know what you're saying, and yeah, the stats tell a complex story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I was going to say the opposite. I see the 50% completion rate. That's got to go up to 65. And by the only way to do that as a new quarterback is just checking it down. So it could be a combination because I'm not sure of their past experience in flag football in general. But it just, from the rough number of times I've been playing at the same time as them, it looks like a quick out. If it's communicated like that on the sideline, they might be doing a quick out is like a 7-yard out. Where in flag, especially where 10 yards to a first down, a quick out is like 1 to 2 to max 3 yards.
Yeah, not much.
So I think it's more of like communicating, perhaps better communicating of the routes, and that's not something you do in the huddle with 20 seconds of a play. That's something you take after the game, before the game, and sit down and maybe analyze. And as a receiver, sure, as they're starting out, what's my route? 2-yard out. Okay. But as you play more games, you got to know what the other receivers are doing as well.
Yeah.
Well, if this guy's running a 7 in, well, I can't do my out at 7 because then I'm just going to run into them. So maybe just some offline work is needed on that team.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fit Squad.
Yes.
The team that I thought Mo was talking about them a couple of weeks back. They're currently sitting in the 4th seed at 4-1.
Okay.
They've looked good from all their statistical standpoints. They're looking like one of the forces in co-ed. Now, do they have a shot at taking down teams like we've been talking about, Easy Fun, Fast Not Furious, and we'll even throw Y&Y in there as well?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
Well, they are a good team, but
Yeah.
like from they've played against some of the top lower teams also, and Y&Y.
And they got
Wait,
LPP on the
wait.
week where
where
Lofar wasn't there.
It's just
So.
that's true.
Easy Fun, Y&Y, and Fast and Furious are the 3 teams like from the top,
Yeah.
and I don't think they have a chance to win against them because
You don't think they stand a chance? They won't even make it close?
Yes, a close game, but to win, no, I don't think so. Because offensively and defensively, Easy Fun, Y&Y, Fast and Furious, they are good. I've seen them play.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think this upcoming Sunday is really going to tell the story in terms of whether they're going to be like the gatekeeper for the
Exactly.
lower teams or if they can actually play with the big boys. I think Y&Y is going to be their toughest challenge to date, and that's really going to give us a better understanding in terms of, are they more of a contender or are they just going to sit somewhere in the middle of the pack and drop a playoff game?
Exactly.
I've seen them play.
Fit Squad?
They're good.
We're not saying they're not good. We're
Yeah.
just saying, like, would you, like, roster for roster, where would you rank them in the standings type of thing?
4th.
That's my point, right?
No, but I think they stand a chance against Easy Fun.
You think?
Again, we spoke about her in the women's section.
Yes.
Laurence Pombriand
True, she's on that team.
is the best woman player in co-ed right now.
Yeah.
She's dominant especially in the red zone. I'm telling you, the way she can box players out, use her body to like really open windows for her quarterback is really impressive. And she's on Fit Squad, so and not just her. There's players like Vincent Batrache, I believe is his name, Alexandra Falcon Korb. They have the size, they have the speed element, they have now a quarterback who can really zip it, really read the defense as well, get the ball in their hands, let the receivers do the work. I find this team very scary. And then, you have Fit Squad staples like Celestine Chartier. You have Boujeda Sada. These guys, Jared Pita. These guys are Salim Taye is another one. He hasn't played a game, so he maybe was there to start the year, but not play. But all those players, sure, by bringing in a new quarterback, they have to build that chemistry.
Yeah.
I find that chemistry's been building very well.
Yeah.
And adding, again, Laurence Pombriand, adding Vincent Batrache, these are huge additions to the team that I think they are competitive, and I think they have a chance to win. But I think they have a chance to win the Co-Ed Cup.
You think?
Yeah, I'll go out and say that they have a chance there to be in the finals. Absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
That's good. Yeah.
You're the only one
We'll see
believing
what
it.
happens.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a believer in
No,
Fit
but they
Squad.
are a good team.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as last season, right?
No,
It's not the
better.
same. C'est ça.
It's a better.
I
team.
agree with that. They are better since last season.
Yeah.
But like Eagle said, we'll see against the matchup against Y&Y. They're like the true competitors. We'll see where they stand because they've only been playing against lower tier.
All right. Laurie,
Yes.
we're moving on to tier number 1. And they're in tier number 1. Let's look at KGP. KGP, once again, beat Braves for the second time this season. Unbelievable. It was more than 18 points. It was a 20-point victory, so that game ended early. Laurie, when they're a fully loaded roster, does KGB pose as one of the biggest threats to win all of Tier 1?
I don't know who's on the roster, but from what you're explaining to me, yes, I believe they would be a threat.
I think the
Yes.
part that's the most surprising about the KGP roster is in the middle of the screen right now. Julien Paiement,
Yeah.
rusher extraordinaire, receiver extraordinaire,
Yeah.
0 games played.
Yeah.
And trust me, I'm feeling it. He's also on my roster with 0 games played. His work schedule has not coincided well with the schedule this season. And so he has been unable to make any of the games. Yet KGP is still dominating their opposition, right? Without their all-star rusher, without their all-star receiver.
It's crazy.
That's the part that really impresses me about this squad. Obviously, we knew Phil Cutler was going to be Phil Cutler. Obviously, we know the names: Kwesi Gordon-Mall, Khalil Kerr, Jonathan Garfinkel, Matt LaPaz, Gabriel D'Amico Matza, Ryan
Khalil
Garber,
Kerr
Brendan
is a
Carm.
new Khalil Kerr's a new addition to the team in
Right,
recent
right.
iterations.
But like these are all like household names type
Right.
of thing, right? Like this is a KGP squad with a
Yep.
few little tweaks here and there.
Yep.
But clearly they found a system that works for their style that is causing their opponents a lot of headaches along the way. Like if you look at the games that they've actually played, they dropped a game to Blessed, a tight game. They dropped a game to Kangaroos, who we obviously know play a very different style,
Yeah.
very offensive, very ball heavy type, like air ball type of style. And they dropped a game to ECW, which is very hard to defend against. But run it once as well. But like these games are competitive and everything, and they're beating opponents they shouldn't on paper be beating when we really think about it. So that's the part which is impressing me about this roster.
I'm just not sure they're. I'm
They're
gonna
missing
do that piece.
something. I know what you're saying. They're missing that something, but like you look at it and you're like, but how is that? Like that game was so close, right? Like that should not have happened there, type of thing. So that's the part that's really makes me, I guess, hopeful for this roster in terms of, if not this year, they're at least kind of setting themselves up for. We know they are Division 1, Division A capable. Obviously, I mean they've won championships
Yeah.
for like 4 seasons straight, type of thing right now.
Yeah,
So we know they're a good team. It's just more they can play with the big boys, and that's what I'm happy about.
Yeah, I love that. Like the 2 losses that Braves have are both the KGP. Like, and you're beating Joe Mayer by 20 points. Like that's not easy to do. Like that's give them definite props. But I think they are matchup dependent. I think you alluded to that going through roughly through their schedule. That game against Kangaroos, I think that type of game against EZW, those are matchup problems, more so the Kangaroos roster and their style and Dan Lazara's style of offense. I think that gives them trouble. So right now they sit at 3-4 and are a double elimination team. I think if they can somehow play Kangaroos earlier in the playoff round, so that if they get bounced into the single elimination bracket, and then they would have to hope for Kangaroos to lose to Braves and then potentially meet Braves in the final, that might be their path to winning tier 1. I don't know if that made a sense. It's a little complicated to follow because of the double elimination, single elimination. But what I'm trying to say is if they do meet the Kangaroos early in the double elimination bracket, lose to them, but then end up meeting Braves in the final bracket,
Then
in
they
the
have a good
finals,
chance.
I think they have a better chance to win it in that way. That it's a which makes the Fall Cup interesting
Yeah, it's a
this
bit
year in that way.
strategic.
Yeah.
This might be
Yeah.
a hot take from my perspective. If the season finished with the standings as is right now,
Yeah.
I think KGP has the best matchup of the three. Like
Against STL?
finishing, if they
Against
finish second or
Blessed.
third, if they have to play between Blessed, Kangaroos,
yes,
and
my
Braves,
Yeah.
as much as Blessed is sitting in that one spot, I think KGP that's the best matchup that they have. As much as they've beaten the Braves twice, I
Right.
think game number 3 is not going to go well.
Right.
But I can see them taking it to Blessed and having a ball go in a different direction that time around and getting that edge.
They played once. I would want to. Do they play again one more time? Let's
Who?
just Blessed. No, they have one game left on their schedule. It's just against STL. That Blessed defense, 173 points against, whereas the KGP defense has allowed 274.
Granted, one game in hand.
I know what you mean, but maybe you're throwing Blessed under the bus there. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't know. I
know what you mean, though.
I think Kangaroos are a bad matchup. I think
Yeah.
Braves, clearly it's worked, but like I said, 3 times is
It's
really
it's really
difficult.
hard to do.
And so I would take my chances against Blessed, knowing their system, knowing how they play, and just trying to outmanage them in that situation.
yeah. Well, speaking of Blessed, they have one of the top receivers in. Speaking of Kangaroos, I'm sorry, I'm leading you the wrong way. He plays on a lot of. I'm about to name a player. He plays with Steve on another team. Phil Fata of Kangaroos. Laurie, would you
Yes.
take him as a number 1 receiver? Or would you rather have someone like Rocco Cristiano? So as we look at his stats here with Kangaroos, Phil Fata has put up 24 receptions, 330 yards. The 9 touchdowns are impressive so far
Yes.
in just 5 games. Or we have Rocco Cristiano of now playing with STL, I believe. Let me just pull that up. Rocco... Yeah, he's playing with STL. Rocco has joined the team in 7 games. He has 28 receptions, 349 yards, and 13 TDs. Again, in 2 more games than Phil Fata. Between those 2 players, who's your number 1 receiver?
I will go with Phil Farah. I've seen him play offensively, defensively. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yes, he knows what he's doing. He's always at the right spot. And yes, 9 TDs is incredible. It's amazing to see. So that would be my top 1 receiver.
And what is it about his skill set? If it's speed, if it's size, if it's his jumping ability, it's his hands because he doesn't drop balls. What are the skill sets stands out to you?
Like you mentioned, speed and hands. He
Yeah.
has the speed to run his routes or defensively go up to the ball.
Yeah.
And like you say, he mostly never drops them. Like he catches them, he tucks the ball in, and he runs for it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you here. I'll go Phil Fata as well. I would give the advantage to Rocco Cristiano, and it's a small one because Phil Fata is just as shifty when he has already the ball in his hands. But Rocco's dancing kind of ability
Yeah, the
is
hip movement.
yeah, the hip move is he's slippery. He's like
Really?
if you had like Vaseline
Yeah.
like rubbed all over his flags and all over him, and
You can't
you're just
catch
like
it.
you're like even Phil Fatan yesterday tried to deflag him and couldn't.
Really?
So like even him too was like like trying all his best to do it, but
Okay.
I do have to agree with you. I think high pointing a ball. Look, Rocco Cristiano's a great receiver, has great hands as well,
Yes.
but there's some sticky hand nature with Phil Fatan. The ball,
Yeah.
one-handed grabs, tiptoe, has great body control, the speed, the size. He's just like an FPF lab receiver.
Exactly.
I always love this question. Let's say we're going to November 1st, right? The trade deadline in the NFL. Let's say that was going to apply to FPF for a second.
Yeah.
And we announce a blockbuster trade. STL trades Rocco Cristiano to the Kangaroos for Phil Farah in return.
Yeah.
Which team gets better? Which team gets worse?
Yeah. This one's, yeah. It's
I don't know.
STL gets,
Better
yeah.
with Phil.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say, and I'm thinking at a
same
million
time.
miles an hour pace, is that Phil Farah becomes like almost Theo J is there, so maybe not the best player, but it's like instantly the number 2 player on the team.
Okay.
Whereas Kangaroos are so filled with talent that Rocco Cristiano
strong.
just hides in as like the 5th or 6th best receiver on the team. Like
yeah.
it's just the way the teams have been built and constructed that the question now being asked is which team gets instantly better. It's STL, but it's not Rocco Cristiano's fault. He, like, if you're asking it in tier 3 or tier 2,
I mean, yeah,
If
you're
you-
literally going up against AJ Gomes, Sean and Rory
Yeah,
Submergian
amazing
and
players.
everything. Yeah, Vicos
Exactly.
Gomes, Rizzo, yeah, Macante Lapointe, Jeans the Alexis.
Yeah.
yeah,
and
so
everything.
like we're being unfair to the guy, but yeah, Phil Fadam instantly makes STL like a lot more dangerous. But that's just more of a
product of the situation, right? Like,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Hashtag NR, Lottie.
Yes.
They've had their struggles, let's say, sitting at 1-3
Yes.
in just 4 games played. They've played the least number of games in tier 1.
Yeah.
But do you think then, looking at the rest of their schedule here, they got Blessed, Run It Once, Kangaroos, and Easy W. Do you think they can run the table? So win all of those games.
Remember, they're down 14-0 against Kangaroos.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Okay.
But do you think they can run the table and sneak in, move out of the yellow page in the standings and move up into the green page? So 4-0 would put them at 5-3. But yes, again, they are losing that Kangaroos game 14-0. But Adam Sinagra will be coming in to play that game at quarterback instead of Frank Teoli Colatrell. So, do you think they can do it? Can they win all 4 games? Can they move up into the 4th seed, or maybe even the 3rd seed here in Tier 1?
I really don't know. I would go more towards no. I don't think they could win all of them
Right.
because they are running ones. Kangaroos and EZW are teams that are really good. So
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, they also have Blessed coming up next. Like,
yeah, exactly.
the number 1
Blessed,
spot.
so I don't think they're gonna win against that one.
So, okay, here, I have
So
a better question then.
Go ahead.
Over under 1.5 wins.
I'll go over. I'll go over that. I think they can finish this either 3-1 or with the split at 2-2. So even at best at 3-1, that puts them at 4-3 with 8 points. And KGP's at 6 right now with 1 game remaining against STL. So if KGP wins that game, I believe if they've played, which they should have, and they did because I was there for that game, KGP has the tiebreaker over them. So even at best going 3-1, and if KGP wins their next game against SCL, that already does it for them. They will be a single elimination team. So that's my answer. I think at best they go 3-1, and that's not enough. They really need all 4. That's an incredibly difficult thing to
Exactly,
do.
and I don't think they're gonna win all 4. So I agree with you.
As good as Adam Sinagra is, there's just the
Yes.
defenses that he's going up against. They're not the tier 2 defenses that he's facing with blackouts.
Exactly.
Eagle, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to tier 3, Lottie.
Yes.
And in tier 3, we have the Bruins atop of the standings here at 6-0. And they've shown that they can win games in a variety of ways, multitude of ways. They can win via forfeit. They can win in a shootout. They can, like they did. They can
Yeah.
defensively shut you down like they did against Killer Rays. So this team knows how to win and win in any type of game situation. So what's the more likely or the best strategy that teams have to utilize to beat the Bruins? Does it have to be an offensive team that can put up the points and it leads to an offensive shootout kind of game? Is it a defensive team that it needs to keep the score real tight, 21-18 or 24-21? What's the way to beat the Bruins?
I believe it would be defensively. They'll need to be stopped. Okay, wait. Let
Yes.
me rephrase that.
Yes.
In order for other teams to win against Bruins,
Yes.
I think their opponents
Yeah.
defensively have to shut down Bruins.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, it would be a close game, but like I'll take for example, Kiss My In-Laws. They are, or was it Kiss My Outlaws that we talked about earlier? Defensively, we talked about it. It was Kiss My Outlaws.
No,
right?
we haven't talked tier 2 yet. So
No. Okay.
so stay tuned for tier 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think it would be defensively. So if you
Yeah.
want to beat Bruins, you have to keep it tight. Because offensively, Bruins, like you mentioned, their receivers, they know how to get open. They will get the ball and score the points, like we've seen against the other teams. So it would be defensively. You have to shut them down. You have to read their offense, either stay zone, read the ball, just shut them down defensively.
Yeah, I'm gonna, and with my own question,
Go
be
ahead.
kind of on both sides of the ball. So
Yeah.
first, defensively, I have to slightly disagree with you. I have to say that the key to stopping their offense
Yes.
is by stopping Gab Wiseman. So you need a very good rusher, because him too, he's like Rocco, he's slippery.
Yeah.
The second he's moving around and even slipping and sliding downfield, he's almost impossible to tackle. It's very frustrating.
It's also like the fake rollout to one side, plant, then throw the ball. It's the pump fake with a little bit of a juke and the whole thing. Like every time I know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Every time he does it, yet I'm still surprised. Right? Like it makes no sense.
Yeah. You know what's coming. It's just little variations. It's either the pump or the shake, or it's just. I think he's the key to stopping them offensively. And I think, but in that way, I'll agree with you. I think you're right. If a team can get 3 stops,
Yeah.
that's huge. That is one of the ways you will beat them. But I find their defense is very strong, and I feel like you will need 35 points or more to beat them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So that's that, and so essentially what I'm saying is the
Yeah.
classic P's that you need at least 5 touchdowns to win a playoff game is because obviously this is a playoff team. I mean, all teams are playoff teams this year, but they're the number 1 contender. Is that you need to at least put, I think, not just 30 but 35.
More. Yeah.
So 35 and 3 stops, which is
Yeah.
asking a lot. That's asking for a lot
It
now
is.
in tier 3 against one of the better teams. But that's what you need, and it will almost take a perfect game
Yeah.
to beat them.
Okay.
I interrupt this podcast to
Yeah,
alert you.
I saw your
that
eyes go like.
The Saints have thrown 2 pick sixes in the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Was
NFL?
Taysom Hill one of them?
Yes.
No,
I think Andy Dalton was one. I think Taysom Hill was the other.
I picked
but-
him
Does
up
it
as a
mess up
tight
your-
end.
okay,
I picked him
mess
up
up
as
your
a tight
fantasy.
end option because I had Dallas Goedert playing, who's on the bye. So I'm like, I'll roll. I'm 1-5 in one of my pools. I'm like, I'll go with Taysom Hill for shits and giggles. That looks like it's backfiring.
One of them bounced off a receiver's hand. The other was just bad.
The bad one was probably Taysom Hill.
No, it was Dalton actually.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, so that's the way I think you can
Stop
beat
them.
Bruins.
Yeah.
And again, speaking of Bruins, 6-0
Yes.
versus Kiss My In-Laws, 4-0. This looks like a battle. Well, it looks like it is a battle
Yeah.
of the last 2 undefeated teams
Yeah.
in tier 3. It's also a battle of the top tier rushers in Tier 3. You got Zachary Albert-Gill with 10 sacks for Kiss My In-Laws. You've got Gab Wiseman, of course, as slippery as he can be on offense. He doesn't miss flags when he's rushing other opposing quarterbacks. He has 8 sacks on the season. How do you see this game going down, Laurie Eagle? We'll start with Laurie.
With both rushers on when they're gonna play against.
Just the whole game. Bruins at 6-0, Kiss My In-Laws 4-0. What do you see this as a high-scoring game? Is it this that defensive battle? Who you picking without picking? Because we'll pick teams later.
No, I think it's gonna be a high-scoring game.
Why are you putting a blue around me? What are you doing?
Drawing a little picture.
Okay, go.
I think it's gonna be a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
I've seen the receivers from both teams, and no, defensively, both are good.
Thanks, Eagle.
But no, it's gonna be a high-scoring game, which you play against next. The next game, it's you against Bruins, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think it's gonna be a high-scoring game.
I hereby submit this as your official logo.
What's that?
In-laws.
Is that the in-laws?
Who knows?
Is that what the in-laws look like? Is this a projection of your feelings towards your in-laws? I feel like this is what's happening right now. We're having a therapy session with Eagle, and he was like doing freestyle art, but it wasn't freestyle. It was like it's like stuff back.
You can't prove it.
An image.
Yeah, what?
You can't prove it.
I did study psychology after all.
Yeah.
Eagle, your take on this game. How do you see this one going down? 2 undefeated teams.
I'm interested in this game because my mind says Bruins are going to be the better team. But I think what I like about the Kiss My In-Laws systems is that it doesn't matter what you do on offense or defense. Their system is kind of designed to beat anyone. So I'm interested to see how that philosophy will match up in this scenario. Only because I think the Bruins, what they do really well. They execute on offense, they execute on defense. They have their system, and it's very hard to stop. And I think Kiss My In-Laws have the exact same mentality when it comes to the game. So this is like the clash of the same style. And between, both quarterbacks, I think Gabriel Wiseman has the advantage. I think on the receiving crew, I think Kiss My In-Laws has a slight advantage, but it's very tight. And I'm only saying that because I think once you get past the top 2 on each team, being Rocco Cristiano, Zach Zorn, for example, on Bruins. And
both can't play at the same time. I don't.
I think you're right, actually. Yeah. Maybe you're right.
So Zorn was injured, is injured, and Cristiano's been subbing for him, replacing him.
You're right, actually.
Zorn may be playing in this one. That'll be a game time decision. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, so then I was going to say, like, Alexandre St. Arnaud is probably the next guy in line to kind of fill in, besides, like, Zach Zarin or Rocco.
No, who's their other
Jocelyn Calixet?
Yes, Calix, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, they basically, like, they're splitting reps in terms of, like, receptions and touchdowns and yards and everything. So, in that sense, I think I'd probably give the advantage a little bit to them, but not as much as I was going to do before. And then defensively, I think that Kiss My In-Laws is the better overall roster when it comes to the defense. So it's hard to like look at this on paper and be like, oh yeah, well this team's better than the other and everything. I think, like I said, I give the edge to Bruins, but I can see this going the other way very easily.
Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be it's. So yeah, I'm playing in it. It's definitely one that we're all excited for. It's a good measuring stick game for both teams, really, but I think what you're getting at is it's more of a measuring stick game for Kiss My In-Laws and see how the offense has developed and playing one of the better defenses in the tier and see how the game goes. Are we competitive with the best team in tier 3? So it's definitely going to have that playoff vibe to it.
And hey, if Bruins can't get the job done, then you have lockdown on Wednesday. It's going to do it. So. Yeah,
of course. Lottie, there's a lot of teams that are in green in the standings that have 2 losses
each.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's Diamond Bougie, Sulefes, and Killer Rays all sitting with 2 losses, but find themselves in the green side of the standings. which of those three teams is more likely to slip down into the yellow single elimination bracket there?
I've compared all three of the teams. I've compared what teams they're playing against in the next few weeks. I think Sulefes has a more chance of going into the yellow based on what teams they're playing against.
Mm-hmm.
So they're playing against Diamond Bougie,
Yeah.
which they're
That's gonna be a good
Yeah,
one too.
'cause
That's
they're
gonna have a
close.
playoff vibe as
Yes.
well to it. But yeah, that one definitely is gonna be an offensive
For
showdown.
sure.
Yeah.
they're also playing against Kiss My In-Laws,
Mm-hmm.
which I think Kiss My In-Laws has an advantage. So again, that's a loss. But against Lockdown, so that's gonna be a close one also. Wait, no, Lockdown is
Is the Eagles team.
yeah,
He's 1-4 right now.
1-4. Okay.
Yeah.
But
So
no,
I think Sulefes have the win there.
Yeah, I agree with that. But no, I think Sulefes has a greater chance of going into the yellow. Based on what
Yeah,
they're
based
playing
on based on their
exactly
opponents.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was looking at it as well. I find that as much as I do like the Killer Rays, I think that it's not been a rude awakening. They are 3-2. The thing with the record in FPF, sometimes people say, "Oh, a 500 record." This isn't the NHL. This
No.
isn't it's a 3-3 record, which they don't have. They have a 3-2 record. It's not bad in FPF. Like, you're playing some really good teams, so especially in Tier 3, so to have 3 victories is a good record. So it's no slight to them. But I think, again, looking at their schedule, which is what I was doing, they have a tough one. They've got Bandits, who are just below them in the 9 seed at 2-3. That is a really good 2-3 team.
It's a good
Bandits. So
Okay.
they're much better than their record indicates. The Ravens, I don't know what to think about the Ravens. I always think they're a tough out, and then what are they, 1-4? No, 2-4 now. I never really know what to make of the Ravens, but
They're almost neutral to a 154, 153 against type of thing. I mean, like if you have that type of breakdown and you're 2-4, that usually means you got blown out in some games, and then you blew out your opponents in the other or something. So
which is pretty much what happened. They blew out Why So Serious and Threat Level Midnight. But again, I'll always.
You give any weight to those 2 wins then, honestly?
No, I don't. But if I'm looking at the Killer Rays against them, I'll always take FPF experience and like the height and nastiness of Mathieu Hull and Ivan Desjardins. Like, these guys are just big, imposing bodies that just know the FPF game. They know when to shove someone without the referee seeing it. They just know the intricacies of the game so well that's a huge advantage over Killer Rays. And then they finish their season with Voodoo, who are always a tough out. They're and Voodoo
Top
this
3.
year they're having one of their good seasons.
Yes.
Voodoo always has that good season, bad season, good season, bad season. This one's one of their better ones at 5-1. So I think if out of those 3, I think Killer Rays have the chance to drop.
Okay, that's good.
Voodoo, I just spoke about them at 5-1. Are they for real? Are they likely to go on a deep playoff run?
What do you mean by deep playoff run?
So like just go really far into the playoffs, either a conference final or even go all the way to the finals in Tier 3.
Well, based on the teams they've played against, maybe not. I don't think they could go that deep.
So who's been their strongest opponent thus far when you look at this?
It's either Bandits
Yeah.
or, like I said, Ravens.
Sissa.
So both those games were really tight.
Yep.
Yes.
Like really tight.
Yes.
I'm on the fence because Voodoo runs a very good system.
Yep.
But all it takes is that one team that can play one-on-one matchups really well.
Arush?
Arush could be one of them. That's a very good one, actually.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Voodoo's system falls apart. And that's what I'm worried about for them. If they hit the matchups they need when they need them in the bracket, and remember, if they're going to finish in the top spots,
It's a good thing
they
for
get
them.
2 chances at
Right.
all the good matchups, right?
Right.
But ultimately, eventually, you're going to have to play a team which, let's hope, is not your exact counter. You know, like we said, if let's say they get a Roosh in the first round, now they go down to the bottom bracket. If they hit a Roosh again, because it works out that way, you know, in another round, or if they work their way all the way to the finals, a Roosh is there. I'm using them as an example, being my point.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a problem for them. And all it takes is that one matchup that just takes it away. And I think in this tier, there's a lot of teams that could do that weren't under schedule this time around. And I think that's where my worry is in terms of looking at them versus everyone else in there.
So schedule a product, the record being a product of their schedule and their matchup problem that they could have with many of the teams that just happen to not be on their schedule.
Yeah, like for example, right now we're looking at, you know, Arush we just talked about. I think Bruins would also be a potential problem.
Yeah.
I think Diamond Bougie would potentially be a problem. I think
think
Kiss
so.
My In-Laws could be a problem. Like, none of those teams they played, right?
Right.
The other
Yeah.
top teams they haven't played.
So,
So
False
that's a
King?
risk to me.
So False King is your third point?
I'm not going to say false kings because they've earned their wins, but I don't think they've been challenged in the way a Bruins, a Roos, In-Laws, Diamond Bougie team would challenge them in that way.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, Lori? On
No, I
Voodoo?
completely agree with it.
And the only other team that beat them, Sule Fest, is currently in 6th, right? Like, that's the other next top team that's there, let's call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, that closes out tier 3. Lori will take our talents over to tier 2. What?
Our talents.
Okay, they're Miami Beach.
Yeah. In tier 2, you got mixed up with the Kiss My
Outlaws and
franchises.
then- Yeah.
Kiss My Outlaws.
Yes.
Do they have a better offense or do they have a better defense? This is something we were talking off air and actually something that I was talking with Alexi with.
Yes.
They're, of course, sitting atop the standings, I believe now at 6-0
Yes.
after their 43-20 victory over Game Changers. What do they have, Lori? Do they have a better offense who's put up 241 points or do they have a better defense?
I personally think defense, because I know most of the guys and all of them on defense are very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You could have Lewis as a safety. He can get those interceptions.
He's quick.
He's very quick. He's got the hands, the height. So, and I think he's got an interception every single game or most of them. Well, from what I've seen, he's got some.
It could be every game.
Yeah.
What I know for sure would something that would support your claim is that the top 4 players in all of tier 2
Yeah.
with the most interceptions
It's
are all
My
on
Outlaws?
Kiss My Outlaws,
Oh, okay. Well,
which is ridiculous.
that answers the question. then.
So that alone for you answers the question.
Of
Yeah, it
course.
definitely supports your claim.
It
yeah,
does.
continue.
Yeah. So yeah, and Alexi, he's very good on defense. I play with him. Marvin, Sanders, they're amazing players.
It's
Defensively, they are good.
no,
No good.
they're
no.
not good. It's nasty.
Exactly, they're nasty.
It's a it's a turnover. We were saying this off air. They are a turnover machine. They stop offenses in their path. You think you're driving the field. You get. Did I explode?
No, I have something.
Oh. You think you're driving the field and you are, and you get past the half, and the next play pick. You drive all the way to the red zone.
Yeah.
Pick in the red zone because now there's such tight spaces. Quarterbacks that try to thread the needle like an Anton Sakic. I've seen him thread the needles against Friends Without Danny, for example. He tried. No, there's just those spaces. I saw Sanders in just baiting him, giving 5 yards to the receiver and just making a cut as soon as the ball was thrown, intercepted. Like, yeah.
I think what I really like about this defense, and the way I usually rate defenses is how well can they disguise their coverage
Yeah.
and where can people play on the field? Because you're going to have teams, and obviously this happens less the higher up you go in the
Yeah.
divisions, but even then, there are certain teams that certain players will likely be playing in certain spots. Like, you are the 5th best player on the field when it comes to your defense, right? And so you are going to get the 5th matchup, or you're going to get defending the flats on a long down situation and everything, like yardage. So if I look at their starting 5, and we're not going to count Julien Prou, who I imagine is mostly rushing for this roster, more or less, but like Phil Ferrand, Sanders Armand, Louis Bégin, Marvin Steinberg, Alexis Dubois. Let's say those are the 5 defenders on the field, right? You're a quarterback.
You don't know
You're
who's
looking
dropping.
at this. You're like, who's dropping? I don't know. Who am I avoiding? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Which matchup am I winning? I don't know.
Yeah. It's
That's the problem with
it's
this
a
defense.
matchup. Like whatever you want to say, it's a matchup. They're a matchup nightmare.
'Cause
They're a
every
turnover machine. They're just stop offenses in their tracks. And what are they doing? They're giving the ball to Stephen Haraprasad, who's scoring on 6 out of 7 drives average per game. And the one drive he's not scoring is because he has 1 or 2 plays left at the end of a half. So like this team in general is disgusting. But I think you're right. I think it's the defense. It just sets up an incredible offense.
Yes.
Because like it's not to slight the offense. The offense is just as good.
Exactly.
But the starting lineup, it's like an NBA team out there. Like it's just
they're all nasty.
the size, the speed, the hands. It's really hard to move the ball
It is.
against them.
It is.
So, game changers.
Yes.
They suffered one of the defeats against Kiss My Outlaws that we just alluded to.
Yeah.
Can they sneak? Right now, they're sitting in the yellow portion of the standings.
Yeah.
Can they? But they're just on the outside in the 7th seed
Yeah.
here. They got a big win against Hot Sauce Sports last night.
Yeah.
Can they sneak over into the green side of the standings? They've got the Santal. They've got Blackouts up next with just 2 games remaining. Sweat and Beers are 2-2-1 with 5 points. Can they get at least one win, if not probably both wins or both games to win in order for them to go up into the green?
I personally don't think they'll be able to win against Centaur or Blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yes, all 3 teams are good, but are Game Changers good enough to beat the 2 other teams? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So what's the matchups you don't like in those games? Is it the Blackouts offense versus the Game Changers defense? Is it the Centaur defense versus the Game Changers offense, vice versa? Like, where does Game Changers draw the short end of the straw in those matchups?
I think defensively, Game Changers are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Especially against the offense for Blackouts and Centaur,
Yeah.
because I've seen them
Both,
play, and
both,
both
yeah.
Offensively. So defensively, Game Changers are gonna have to, if they want to win, they're gonna have to
Outscore.
they're gonna have to do something about it defensively, because the offense of Blackouts and Centaur is just
They're putting up against them. They're putting up minimum 30 points.
exactly.
So their only hope to victory, I think, then you're gonna say, is that their offense has to produce. So can they?
I don't think so, because the defense for Blackouts and Centaur also is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll be except if Sweat and Beers they lose their games. I don't know who they play against, but I don't think they have a chance of going into the Yellow Sea.
Right.
Hello.
So, but
Green.
even if, the green
Yeah,
to move up into the
up,
green
up,
standings. Yeah. But even if they do lose the 2 games, Game Changers, that is, even if Sweat and Beers lose the rest of their games, they are already ahead of them in the standings. So they can't jump them, of course.
So-
They need one or both wins.
Exactly. What do you think?
I think they go 0-2.
1-2?
I think they have the better shot of winning the game against Santal. I think they can move the ball against Santal's defense. I
Yes.
think I can see them losing a 35-32 kind of game to Santal. They would keep it close. My thing with the Game Changers, though, is who's showing up. who's playing?
True.
Is it going to be Jordan Panetta throwing like he did last night? I mean, he's not the starting quarterback. It is Anton. And he looks great when he's out there, but his cast of receivers is just constantly changing. From Tuesday to Wednesday, it was different.
And they added a new player halfway through the season. Game changers.
Possibly.
Yes, they added Ryan halfway through the season.
Ryan Dobbs-Garnett.
Yeah.
So like they're adding players
Constantly
left and
yeah,
right.
exactly.
He wasn't there yesterday.
It's not constant.
Like it's just constantly different. And like so I played in that game against them, and wow, look, full credit. Yeah, you were scorekeeping it. And full credit to them, 39-18 victory.
Yeah.
It's clearly a blowout. But if that team had chemistry, that would have been a 50-point loss,
agree more. Yeah.
Or a 50-point win for them against Hassad Sports.
But they're missing the chemistry, like you said.
Yeah, just a bit.
It's
a bit more there when Anton is there because he's the normal quarterback for the team. You could tell Jordan Panetta was a little off with his receivers. But it's still I just don't know who's going to show up for those two games. So I think they have the better shot against Santal. Against Blackouts, they need to put up 50 to beat Blackouts, and I don't see that happening. Yeah. The top 3 teams.
Yes.
We got Kiss My Outlaws, of course, that we talked about. We touched briefly about on Blackouts and Mangoose as well. Those are the top 3 tiers here in the standings. Is there a legit separation from those 3 teams from the rest of the tier? Or does Santal fit into that equation? What are your thoughts?
I don't think there's a clear separation. I think like the top 6 teams deserve their place, and they're all close. They're somewhat close. Well, I believe. So you think
a team like Beer Belly Brigade, which came up from in the winter season, playing in 4B, having a rough time in Division C in the spring, has a chance to beat teams like Mangoose and Kiss My Outlaws.
Okay, no, never mind.
I don't know. Yeah,
Forget what I said.
You could have. Yeah, no. You could have made an argument.
Yeah, but no,
for it,
I don't have any argument.
And I would have been here to listen.
Yes.
I would have had time here to listen to it.
No, okay, then no. I think there's a distinction between the 3 teams against the others.
Or does Santar fit in there?
I think they do. I think they do. They deserve a place. They're close. To the other teams, they could beat. I'm sure Mangoose and Santal would be a good matchup.
It would be a good matchup. I think the quarterback play of Jason Rossi with the receiver set that he's surrounded himself with.
Yeah.
Jeremy Rooney, not one of the lesser known names in FPF. Very, very good receiver. Yvan Desjardins. He's always he's more of a consistent name in FPF, playing with the Ravens, as we mentioned. Snapper Chris Brockwell, Vincent Benjamin on the team, Hugo Alemano. These guys are great receivers. Put a quarterback like Jason Rossi in there,
makes it better.
And just I think that it is the top 4 teams that actually separate themselves, and not just the top 3.
No, I agree.
Eagle.
So I do have a question for you guys. Do either of you know what a SWOT analysis is?
Yes. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So Laura, you're somewhat familiar with it?
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay. So, and I don't want to necessarily go super scientific on this, but I want to look at those 4 teams that are at the top of the standings. Okay. Kiss My Outlaws, Mangoose, Blackouts, and Santal. Let's do the 30 seconds or less SWOT analysis on these teams. Pick one, do the strengths. Pick one, do the weaknesses. Pick one, do the opportunities. Pick one, do the threats, essentially. And we can do it literally in the order top to bottom if you want, just because of the way the teams are structured. But yeah, let's try and break these down in terms of where you see teams being successful and what's going in their favor, and where teams are going to struggle and what's going against them.
So
Do we start with strength?
So Kiss My Outlaws are not a tier 2 team. Alexi, just no. They are off the grid. They shouldn't even be.
The entire team is just strength across the board.
They're just strength across the board. There's they're threat across the board. They're just everything that they shouldn't be, and they're off the board. They don't get a discussion here.
But do you think they're good enough? The same team would be good enough to play against the teams in Tier 1?
This is my hot
Is
take.
that their opportunity?
This is my hot take.
Yeah.
I think Kiss My Outlaws is better than Blessed. I think if you had Steven Haraprasad on both, like playing against himself, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think while the Blessed team believes there's better chemistry, and there is,
Yeah.
the Kiss My Outlaws roster is just and their argument is the chemistry is better versus they recognize the athletic talent is probably a little better on Kiss My Outlaws. Just I think they're better. They're a better team than the Blessed team. But yeah, so that's Kiss My Outlaws.
Mangoose.
Yeah, Mangoose. They're higher on the strength. Not so much. There's very little weaknesses. There's maybe one or two players you can pick on defense, but apart and like they're not bad players. Like they're just the worst of the group. So the weaknesses are subtle. Let's say their opportunity is, as the season has been going along, they've been now utilizing, and with their additional pieces, James Drysdale being the main one.
Yeah.
He's the greatest opportunity for this team, and he's taking full advantage of it. And he's made them into a contender in Tier 2.
Every single game.
Yeah.
He uses him.
Laura, you want to do Blackouts or Centaur?
I'll do Blackouts.
So what's their best strength?
Strength. Offensively.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
couldn't agree more. They know what they're doing. They get the ball. They score.
You've seen Adam Sinagra throw.
Yeah, more than once. I think I scored like 2 of their games.
Yes. One was
So-
that outdoor game against Friends without Danny.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
How'd you find he threw the football?
Well, see, there's a clear difference between the two.
Yeah. But
teams,
just Adam
but
Sinagra. Yeah.
No, he bullets.
Yeah,
He
they're
throws
bullets. Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
I
He
was
can
shook
break.
the first time I saw it.
Yeah. He can break down a defense and the way he reads the field real quick. Here,
yes,
there, boom.
very quick.
So yeah. So
and
strength.
his release is very quick also.
Yeah. So strength, offense.
Yes, offense. Weaknesses, I don't know. Weaknesses about Blackouts.
I'd say
I
their
don't
their communication on defense, not so much just when a basic huddle play and everything, but when the pace gets quick,
Okay.
they seem to stumble, and then there's miscommunications that happen. They
Okay.
think they're playing man they have a lot of audibles. That they call, so they try to get that communication in check. But sometimes, if the play is going a little too quick for them, they think they're in zone, but they were playing man, so they let someone wide open go. And
So defensively.
yeah, so
Okay,
let's
I
say
didn't notice that.
defensive communication.
Yeah.
Let's say okay, sure.
Opportunities.
Like, are there matchups you like? Are there certain games that you like? Is it just like, they have a chance to try and steal a championship from one of the other top 2 teams?
I think they do have a chance. They have great players. They're currently 3rd, but no, I don't think they. If they play against Kiss My Outlaws, I don't think they'll be able to pull through.
So
Yeah.
Outlaws are their biggest threat.
Yeah,
then.
biggest threat. As we mentioned before, why?
Yes.
Yeah. and then what was it?
Yeah, Centaur is the last one. Yeah. You want to go through this one, Iggy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think their greatest strength, like kind of like what I alluded to, is their receiver set, but with that combination of Jason Rossi at quarterback. I think their weakness is their defense. I think you can break it down. It's not that there's gaping holes in their zones, but they're not as tight as many of the other teams in Tier 2. I think their opportunity is they can still utilize a couple more players a bit more into their offense, maybe make it a bit more of a balanced attack. Players like Vincent Benjamin and Hugo Alemano come to mind, that maybe they're slightly underutilized. And their biggest threat,
Ooh, I have one for this one.
yeah,
Themselves, because they get tilted real easy.
yeah. You know what? I like that one. Yeah, that one's very true. The best example of one of my articles I wrote, man, Jason Rossi, you're up 8. Why are you going for 2 points? Why are you making it more difficult yourself to make it a 2-possession game? Go for 1 point, convert, you're up 9, like make it the game easy for yourself. Like, why are you not going up 2 possessions when you have the chance? So yeah, I like that one a lot. Yep. And we're gonna wrap this baby up with
Tier 4.
Tier 4, exactly. And like we've done a couple times already this season, I want to take a look at the penetrators. They've been interesting to kind of follow the wave of their season so far. Look, they're still undefeated, but Laurie, you saw them play yesterday.
Yes, I did.
They played a 26-26 tie against Primetime.
Yes.
Their last game, an 18-12, very surprising close game against Red Dragons. It feels like their game is slipping a little bit. Laurie, what did you see yesterday in their game against Primetime?
For penetrators?
Yes.
I think one of the big things was the rusher. He put a lot of pressure on the penetrators QB because he is fast.
Yeah,
Very
Ethan
Talking
Adrian.
Yes.
George Zeriotis?
No, we're talking Ethan Adrian
On prime time.
of
Oh, I'm
Prime.
sorry. I can't
he
reach that.
is
Yes.
Yeah.
very fast. And I've seen him play a couple times. He
Yeah.
puts a lot of pressure on the QB. So that puts the QB in a position of he has to throw the ball fast.
Yep.
He has to read his
Defense.
the defense and his offense, see who's open. So that was the biggest weakness because I think there was a lot of drop balls if I remember correctly.
It
Is
doesn't
there?
look
No,
like it from
okay,
the
my
receiving
mistake.
target
Yeah.
standpoint. Well, maybe to Joseph Chaloux, 3 of 6, and Jeremy Neimer,
Yeah.
1 of 3.
But no, so I think it starts from the rusher to the QB. That was a main weakness.
Yep.
Because Ethan put a lot of pressure. He's fast. He ran towards him. Didn't give the QB a lot of time to throw.
Didn't miss too many tackles from what I remember either.
Yes.
Opportunities
Yeah,
to
you're
sack.
right.
Like
Yes.
he it's not like he went 4 sacks but missed 6 others.
Exactly. No, I think he got a couple. So, yeah.
What does the penetrators defense look like? Because I'm looking at these stats here, and
Yeah.
I can't tell if Daniel Spina's just airing out the ball
Inaccurate.
too often and just missing, or if the defense is actually making plays. Because anytime I see 0 PDs and a lot of incompletions from the opposing team, usually that indicates that it's misses and not plays.
Inaccurate
right?
balls, right?
For the missed balls, yes. But the thing is about Daniel Spina, right?
Yes. Yeah.
He likes to throw his balls deep.
Yeah.
And most of the time, his receivers catch them. Or yesterday I saw it. It was overhead. It was thrown too far ahead.
There you go.
So that's to answer your question. Yes, it was too far ahead.
Yeah, and inaccurate sideline balls. There was even though they don't count on the
Yes.
stats, even though they don't count on the stats because it was an extra point, like an out but thrown to the receiver's feet.
Exactly.
Like
To the feet or outside the sideline. And
Yes.
I saw because I was shook yesterday because I've
you were
scored.
shook.
Yes, I was shook
Yeah.
because I
Tell me
scored-
why you were shook.
I
To the
Lauren.
very
scored-
core.
Yes,
Yeah.
I scored kept like I think 3 other games now.
Yeah.
The first 2 games, no inaccurate balls whatsoever. Like none of the balls were too far off. And then yesterday, he threw the ball overhead of his receivers on the
Mhm.
long throws. He threw the ball outside the sideline where his receivers can't go and catch them. So yeah, it was weird. So maybe he had pressure from the other team's rusher.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Penetrators.
think Nick Vaughn rushes sometimes and then drops into coverage other times. I'm not sure if he's the full-time rusher.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Nick Vaughn is there, he definitely can put pressure
Yeah.
in opposing quarterbacks' face. Yes.
Also, what I could add, just a thought,
Yeah.
what I see. Primetime, did they tie the game from what I saw because they were taking it too like slow, easy, because they're having a lot of fun on the field.
Yes.
So, did they tie because they didn't take it too seriously?
Well, fill us in. Are you referring to like what was the context of the game? Because
So Penetrators actually got last score and then
Yes.
missed the extra point for the lead. So it was
Yes.
tied, which left Primetime with
3 or 4
5 plays left.
Yes.
or no 4 because there was a penalty to make it 5.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Is what happened. So
And they got up the field significantly, right? Like they were like not red zone, but they were pretty close to it essentially on the last play.
I think in the end they ended up being almost at midfield. I
No,
know
they
it
were-
doesn't
they were
look.
past
I know
midfield
it
for
doesn't
sure.
look that way, Eagle, but this is the Laval outdoor field,
Yes.
so the yardage doesn't accurately reflect where they were positioned.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a little past half field,
Okay.
so they were like 15 yards out.
Oh, yeah, it's still not. That's convertible, definitely.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just-
So definitely,
It's not as easy of a player. There's not as many options available to you, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now, Lori, were you referring to like them being lackadaisical or just like flimsy on the last play where because
just in general.
or
'Cause
just in
I think
general?
they like I know they're hyper.
Yes, they're
they-
hyped up.
Yes, exactly. So-
Sometimes too emotional
yes.
and need to calm, like just
Yes.
relax and like get settled and run their offense. But
So
yeah,
I think it's just a thought. Yesterday, if they would have like played fooled around less, we could say, and take
Uh-huh.
it more seriously,
right.
I'm pretty certain they could have won the game
Yeah,
against Penetrators.
I know where you're going with that, and I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. They're on the sideline cracking jokes here and there, which is fine.
Yeah, it's perfectly
fun.
fine.
You don't have
they're
to
having
be
fun. No, no.
super serious all the time. But yeah, when you're in the huddle, you want to make plays and like really execute. I think the execution was missing.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think they definitely had a chance to win, and I think they exposed Penetrators
yes.
and with some of their weaknesses. And I don't think we've been saying that Penetrators are the number 1 seed. They're the number 1 front runners. I'm not sure about that anymore. I think Save the Turtles, despite a loss to them, I think if they were to play again, I think Turtles will learn from not just that game against the Penetrators, but from their entire season.
Yeah.
And Vincent Chung's been on a very, very strong rise at playing at the quarterback position. I think
I saw that.
I think the Save the Turtles team is the new front runner for this division.
I agree.
That being said, I mean, Penetrators, like you said, are still undefeated, right? Next
That's-
week they have
yeah.
QB Roulette.
Yeah.
That's probably a win.
Yeah.
But then they wrap their season up against Step Bros, who are a predicament, I guess is the way I can describe it, right? Like, they kind of got off to a somewhat slow start. And then the last weeks, it's definitely been up and down as well. They got blown up by Primetime. They got beaten by Wib. Then they crushed Toon Squad. They have Red Dragons and, of course, Penetrators left on their schedule. So, like, what are we looking at when we're talking about
Step Bros?
Step Bros, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one because early entering the season and kind of the first 3 weeks of the season, this was a team that prided themselves on defense and struggled mightily to move the ball on offense. And recently in the last 2 weeks, and you were scorekeeping that one last week as well.
With Step Bros and
Step Bros
yeah.
and Wib 2.0.
I did.
It was chippy. It was a chippy affair. There was a lot of talking from
Oh
the
yes.
back and
both of
forth.
them.
But for the Step Bros to finally put up 25 points
Yes.
last week and 32 this week, look, I think they would want to argue that they want to play all their games outdoors in Laval. They have in the week 1 20 points against Save the Turtles, then 25 and 32. That's more than 75% of their points have come out playing Laval outdoors. But yeah, I think Pranav Sharma's come a long way with the passing attack. He's starting to understand more and more the game, and having a guy like Anthony McCall, having a true number 1 receiver who knows the game. The guy has played FPF Junior before, so he knows the idea of FPF's version of flag football, and he's clearly been a difference maker with 259 yards leading the way. What do you saw them play last week? What do you think they were good at, not good at?
The Step Bros?
Yeah.
They were good. The QB is good at throwing the balls, and the receivers are good at catching it. So I think offensively was a pretty.
Which was not the norm. The norm was
No.
that he could not get the ball land into his
Ex-
receivers, have 30-40% completing his passes, which
But it
is
changed a little over the past few games.
yeah,
No?
yeah,
So
absolutely, for sure.
exactly. No, but they also played yesterday, the Step Bros,
Yes.
against Toon Squad.
Were you there for that game as well?
I
it was
scored that
it was
game.
yeah, okay. It was
Yes.
the earlier one,
It was
7 o'clock.
entertaining.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, Step Bros, they started off with a 6-0 because Toon Squad, they didn't arrive
that
on
sucks.
time. I
Okay.
know. But say Toon Squad, they didn't let it affect them. Say
Yeah.
they went on the field. They were having fun. We could see from the get-go that it's the cap between the two teams are not the same. And it was really, what was entertaining and funny was
Yeah.
that during the game, I think Toon Squad are like younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're way younger than Step Bros.
Well, younger.
They come from
Yeah.
our junior program,
exactly.
I think, actually, right?
Yeah, I've seen their
Promoted up
pictures.
the
Their
time.
pictures are really young.
Yeah, yeah.
So when they were playing, I think number 20 in Toon Squad, he is fast. He was
yes. Yeah.
when he got the ball a couple times, I think 2-3 times, he was running past the Step Bros defense.
Yes.
And
Max
the-
Arnovitz.
Yeah, number 20.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the defense in the Step Bros, they were getting mad because
Was he getting the ball though? Or
yes,
He was
20
or he was just running behind
he
them
was
and not
no,
getting the ball
he was
past him.
he was skipping the defense of Step Bros, and they couldn't get the
Okay, the
the
flag,
flag.
right? Okay.
so that's why
okay.
they were getting mad because and then one of them said a comment about like, oh, you're getting beat by a 16-year-old because they're younger. So it was
Yeah.
pretty funny and entertaining, but it was a good game.
Like, what's the
between them.
story with Toon Squad, though? Like, I don't know how to judge this team.
Me
'cause
neither.
They've had,
I-
like, good seasons, bad seasons. Like, the last few games have kind of been a little bit, like, wacky, I guess, and everything clearly not showing up on time. Like, how do I feel about this? I don't know.
I really don't. I don't know either. And in even yesterday's game, unless you took the stats wrong, Lori,
what?
Jesse Dim, a third quarterback, came in and actually performed the best.
For Toon Squad,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
They were changing.
But how do you go from tying prime time to then just beating QB roulette and then loss? Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I think they're losing confidence in who's officially the starting quarterback. We thought it was Adam Mantel, although you know what? No, going into the season we thought it would be Garner Ross, as he's been the franchise quarterback. They decided, in the opening game with a tie to primetime, which I thought, a good result to start the season, and then beating QB Roulette, which again, although I'll be fair, QB Roulette's defense is not bad. So to be in a tight game, that's something else. But to start the season 1-0-1, and then with both games with Adam Intel there, I thought it would be better than it's 4 losses in a row. So I think they're losing, but then they're switching quarterbacks to Garner Ross. If they throw like 3 interceptions, they're switching out, going to Adam Mantel, then going back to Ross, and then yesterday adding a third quarterback, Jesse Dim, and he looked the best. He led 2 drives down the field for a score.
He was able to throw the ball to an open receiver, and that receiver to catch it and run upfield. I was
do they have a quarterback controversy going into the playoffs here? Or was it just a one-off? I agree with Eagle here. I don't have a good heartbeat on this team. That heart's starting to fail and wither away. I don't know what it's gonna take for them to start pumping more blood.
I don't know
But
either.
they definitely need a heart shock
They
here
do.
as the season comes to a close.
Yeah.
So that was Toon Squad. Then last topic here. If we look at the quarterbacks in Tier 4, there's clearly a distinction with about the top 3, maybe top 4 quarterbacks leading the way. But I'm more interested in that middle pack. The quarterbacks that have thrown 11 touchdowns. as Eagle puts it up here on the board.
Okay.
We have Bruno Provencher of Deep Balls, Adam Antel of Toon Squad, Guillaume Boulanger of Red Dragons, thank you, and Pranav Sharma of the Step Rose, all with 11 now touchdown passes.
Do
Not
you
a
count
lot.
Kenny Boutillier plus Zachary Alberts-Gill for QB roulette? They're
It's
at-
11 as well.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, but no, because my question is, if you had to pick one of these guys to lead and have the most confidence to lead your offense to a playoff victory, Luddy, who are you going with?
From what I've seen, I would go with the Step Bros QB.
Yeah. Like you said, in the last two games, so again, 11 touchdowns on the season. In the
Yeah.
last two games, I had his stats up.
The sacks are concerning, though. You're giving away a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
yards, right? Like,
That's a lot. It's more sacks than touchdowns.
But do
yeah.
they gain them back? That's the thing.
no,
No?
clearly not. He's
Oh.
at 558 yards in 5 games. That's like
Oh, okay.
110 yards a game?
Yeah.
That's
So-
a lot.
3 fields that you're driving?
Yeah.
That's not.
So
Yeah.
keep that in mind. So his last two games, 9 touchdowns of the 11. That
In
can't
the
be
last
right.
2 games.
How come it's 9, but the stats don't make sense?
Maybe it's not refreshed yet. Who knows?
Is it?
Because it's a game
Yes,
yesterday.
because someone didn't upload the games last night. This is
I'm
exactly.
Wow,
I'm
Lori.
sorry.
Wow, this is totally your fault.
Oh,
So
you told me.
You see how I mentioned that? Yeah.
I know.
I'm calling the audible. Hey, I heard that. Oh,
That
damn.
scared me.
Wow. Yeah, that scared me because I can't hear anything.
And then you
but
heard that.
then I really heard that. So in his last 2 games, he's thrown for 9 touchdowns. Eagle, you said his average was around 110. He's thrown for 176 and 131. And has only been sacked 4 times instead. With normally his quarterback rating being 33, 85, 76, 39. His quarterback rating in the last 2, 92.5 and 88.5. So definite improvement in those last 2 games, as you were saying.
Or does it depend on the teams he play against?
It could be that as well, but
Yeah.
WIB 2.0
yeah.
and Toon Squad defenses,
True.
they know what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
not completely incompetent
No,
defenses.
no.
They're to put up those kind of numbers is nice to see when earlier on he was throwing 107, 110, 73, 92, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns,
So you can
1
see the
touchdown.
improvement.
Yeah,
We see it.
definite improvement. So you're going with
The
Pranav
Step Bros.
Sharma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you go with him also?
I would not
No?
go with him. I need to see that a 2-game sample size of an
True.
improvement is not enough for me. I need to see him do it on a more
More.
consistent
Yeah.
basis.
I agree.
So he has 2 more chances, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 3 more games to prove that to me. Until then, I'm going with someone I've actually played against. I saw him. I subbed for QB Roulette this week.
yeah.
I saw Bruno Provencher. Yeah, I
You-
subbed in tier 4.
Really? I
Yeah,
didn't
why
know
not? To
that.
get an
No way,
extra
why-
game in.
Exactly. Why not?
I played against Bruno Provencher. He's him too. He's had a slow start to the season.
Yeah.
But his last few games, you can tell he definitely knows how to throw a football, but he more importantly knows how to read defenses.
Okay.
He also has the ability to scramble, much like Pranav Sharma does, but uses it when that is the last remaining option in his wheelhouse.
Okay.
And he's definitely able to pick up a first down when needed when using his legs. Yeah, I would either go with Bruno Provencher or Adam Intel. Again, Adam Intel's been on and off. Pranav Sharma hasn't
Yeah.
shown me enough. And Guillaume Boulanger, him too. He's struggled for most of the year. I just like the progression that Bruno has shown so far. I'm going with him to lead me to a playoff victory.
Okay. That's good.
Eagle, you picking one or we're... No, you're not picking anyone. You don't want to do tier 4. We'll go with...
QB roulette.
Oh, yeah, we'll go with QB Roulette. QB Roulette. Who are they going with? They're going with Sébastien Lamy. So even the wheel. I got to do that earlier. I think we either have to abandon the wheel or update the wheel because he's not throwing this year, and neither is.
I mean,
Vincent.
is he not throwing because they're not listening to us?
Yes, maybe.
And that's why they've lost every game? Question mark.
I was okay. Funny thing, I was about to ask you guys
Yes.
because you do this every single week, right?
Yes.
And I thought that they were following what you guys were putting.
No.
No.
And that's because, and I was like, is that because they've lost all their games?
Yeah.
And I was about to blame it on you guys.
No, it's the opposite. They haven't been
Okay,
listening to
okay.
us, and that's why they're 0-5.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Eagle, it's time for.
Now it is time for games of the week. I don't think I can do this for another 30 seconds. I was trying to make a nice, easy timestamp, but it's not going to happen, so I'll just have to update it. Anyways, let's
Put that-
go.
Play it. Play it, baby.
FYI, we have to fix the weeks.
Oh, I
We
told
talked
you.
about it. We know how to change it. So, long story short, when we did Sched Builder, the automatic algorithm to do the schedules,
Cut the music.
no, it's fine. The way the schedule was done was such that because of the Thanksgiving bye week, whatever it is, the days kind of jump around, and then all the weeks that would normally get a 1 week break, Sunday got like a 2 week one or something, and ended up being like the front or the end, and it screwed up the weeks. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna move the weeks around to make it a little bit more, I guess, Sunday to Thursday rather than what we have right now, which is a little bit of like all over the place. But I
Monday to
digress.
Sunday right now.
Yeah, it's really strange. So we're gonna predict all the games up to and including the 26th, which is the Wednesday, because I don't think we have any more Thursday games left. So let's
Oh,
start.
there's no more Thursdays.
That's fine. We're gonna start with the women's division: Brut versus Red Nation.
Brut.
Oh, yeah. I'll go Brut as well.
All right, we're gonna go co-ed Iced Out versus Fast Not Furious.
Fast Not Furious.
Yeah, I'll go Fast Not Furious.
Bench Warmers, Les Petits Fuck.
I'll go Benchwarmers.
Yeah, I'll go LPP.
Badgers, Free Smoke.
Free Smoke.
Free smoke.
Fit Squad, Y&Y.
Y and Y.
No, I'll go Fit Squad. They're that's my co-ed team.
Melting Pots, Sneaky Snakes.
Sneaky Snakes.
Yeah, I'll go Sneaky Snakes too.
Easy Fun, The Villains.
Easy Fun.
I think it's close, but
it
I'll
will
go
be
Easy
close.
Fun.
And
Good game.
Kiss My End Zone, Badgers.
We both can't pick
Yeah,
it.
we
So
play on
Eagle,
that,
you pick.
I'm gonna go Kiss My End Zone, but I do like Badgers, especially the Honey Badger.
The badger. Mushroom.
Snake.
What?
Oh, Lori, we're too old for Lori. Wow. Oh God.
Tier
E-bumps.
1, Run It Once, Easy W.
Run it once.
I'll go Easy W.
Blessed, #NR.
Blessed.
I'll go Blessed.
And Braves, Kangaroos. Great game.
Oh yeah.
I'll go Kangaroos.
After a loss, coming off a loss, give me Braves.
All right. We're gonna go Tier 3, Ravens, Blue Dreamers.
Ravens.
I'll go Ravens, but I like what Blue Dreamers have done with their new quarterback.
Kiss My In-Laws, Bruins.
Kiss my in-laws.
I can't pick that one. Eagle, you pick.
No. Bandits, Killer Rays.
Killeries.
That one's gonna be like a 1 point
Close.
game.
Yeah, it's gonna be close.
I'm gonna go Bandits.
Why So Serious, Lockdown.
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 Trap Stars, Warriors.
Warriors.
This one, there's a lot of close games. I'll
I
go
know.
Trap Stars.
Sous les Fesses, Diamond Bougie.
Diamond Bougie.
Man, this one too.
It's close.
Offensive fireworks. Give me Diamond Bougie.
Lockdown, Kiss My In-Laws.
Kiss my in-laws.
Can't pick it.
Arush, Lalimo, 17-year-olds.
Arush.
I'll go Arush.
Warriors, Threat Level Midnight.
I'll go Warriors.
Threat level midnight.
Killer Rays, Ravens.
Killeries.
For that one, I'll go Killer Rays.
And Voodoo, Blue Dreamers.
Voodoo.
I'll go Blue Dreamers with that one.
All right, we're going to go Tier 2, Team Ethnic, Friends Without Danny.
Team ethnic.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Friends Without Benefits. I'll go Team Ethnic.
Game Changers, Centaur.
Santa.
Santa.
Team Ethnic Blackouts.
Blackouts.
I'll go Blackouts too.
And Sweat and Beers Beer Belly Brigade.
Sweat and beers.
It's the beer matchup. Eagle, what kind of beers are you having for this game?
Let's not go back into that.
I do want to have a sour beer more recently because I
he
have a friend who
answered
tried
this
some
time.
and they're like, I don't like it. I'm like, you're wrong.
I'll go. I'll sweat and I'll have a beer.
All right. And lastly, Tier 4, Wib 2.0, QB Roulette,
Wib.
Wib.
Dragons, The Step Bros,
Step Bros.
Yeah, I'll go Step Bros.
The Penetrators, QB Roulette,
Penetrators.
Depends.
Deep Balls, Primetime,
I'm gonna go prime time.
I'll go prime time, but it's gonna be closer than what people expect.
We think.
and Save the Turtles Toon Squad.
Save the Turtles.
Save the tea.
All right, this is fun, guys. This is a good game of the week segment. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for playing.
And now we can go into regular
Activity.
music for exit. I'm just waiting for a nice break.
Yeah. Lori,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it was awesome. You
It
did a
was.
hell of a job. Eagle,
you.
you did a hell of a job producing the show today,
That's a first.
tonight. Yeah, it's the first time and only time I'm gonna praise you for that.
I mean, you set the bar so low. It's
I
hard
did.
to
I
wonder.
literally did. I set an inaudible bar.
Can I say something real quick?
No.
Yes. Always.
Yes. I can talk. Okay. Me and Mo were talking just fast, and he said that you talk a lot. So he wanted me
I know.
to, he wanted me to time you, and then I'll say the time, and you're
Yes.
gonna be like wondering why are you timing me? And I'm gonna say, I wanted to see what takes longer, you talking or our offensive drive last season in our final.
That was a 8 or 9 minute drive.
Oh, that was so long. It's okay. We won.
That led to a victory.
It
that
did. It did. I don't know
that-
why he's complaining though.
yeah, I don't know. that led to a victory. Tonight was a victory.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us here on Calling the Audible. We are signing off for the night. Thanks for making it victorious.
Thank you.